There are days when the world seems to fall apart, when everything we once believed in starts to crumble. The noise fades, and in the silence, we find ourselves wondering, has happiness disappeared? But happiness never truly leaves. It hides quietly within the cracks of our hearts, waiting for us to be still enough to see it again. In the sunlight slipping through the window, in a laugh we once knew, or simply in the warmth of our own breath. When the world seems to collapse, happiness doesn't vanish. It's merely waiting for you to remember how to find it. J.K. Rowling once gave Dumbledore a line that still echoes through generations: happiness can be found, even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Those words were born in one of the darkest moments of the wizarding world, when fear reigned, hope flickered, and even courage seemed to fade away. But beneath their simplicity lies a timeless truth. Light doesn't come from magic. It comes from within us. Happiness is not something we wait for in peaceful times. It's the strength to ignite our own faith when everything around us falls into shadow. Because sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to turn on the light, and the darkness of an entire world begins to fade. There was once a man who believed happiness would come only when he achieved his greatest dream. He chased it with everything he had, convinced that reaching it would bring him peace. But when he finally stood at the summit of his success, he felt empty, as if what he had been searching for was still somewhere beyond his grasp. It was only when life forced him to stop, when the noise faded and silence took over, that he began to see the truth. Happiness was never at the destination. It lived quietly in the smallest moments: a cup of coffee at dawn, an unexpected hug, a glance that said more than words ever could. And perhaps true light isn't something we find out there, but something we learn to turn on from within. Music rose in the darkness, not real sound, but an echo from deep within his soul, where passion and despair wrestled like two opposing currents. He sat there, alone, in a small room drowned in the dim glow of a yellow light. Sheets of unfinished music scattered across the floor, fragments of broken dreams. His trembling fingers touched the piano keys, and the sound that emerged was distorted, off-key, cold, like his life at that very moment. That day, he lost everything. It began as an ordinary morning. He stepped out with a heart blazing with ambition. His first big performance, the opportunity of his lifetime. But fate always loves to toy with those too obsessed with the future. One slip, a moment of darkness, a dull, heavy thud, then silence. And that was it. When he opened his eyes, he no longer belonged to that world. Before him stretched a boundless white space. Thousands of souls floated like tiny, flickering lights, all drifting toward the great light, the end of every journey. He panicked. His heart raced, though he no longer had a body. He shouted, "I'm not ready. I haven't lived my life yet." No one heard him. In his despair, he struggled free from the stream of souls and fell into another realm, a place where unborn souls searched for their spark. There he met a small, stubborn, cold little soul. It had never wanted to live. It said, "You want to go back?" "Yes. I was born to play music. Or are you just afraid to face the life you've never truly lived? That question pierced him like a blade straight into the place he had never dared to look. Then, chaos. And somehow they fell down to earth. He was no longer in his own body. He was trapped inside a small animal, while that little soul inhabited him. For the first time, that soul experienced the world. The aroma of hot pizza, the warmth of sunlight brushing through hair, the night breeze grazing its cheek, music drifting from a cafe afar, and the laughter of a child on the street. The ordinary things he once took for granted now became miracles to a soul that had never known what it meant to live. He, now in that tiny form, watched quietly, powerless, yet deeply moved. He saw himself as he once was, always running, always rushing, believing that only when he achieved something great would he deserve to exist. But when he saw that soul laugh because of a single gust of wind, he realized something devastating. He had never lived. He had only existed, in fear of missing life itself. That night, they sat together on a park bench. The city was still noisy, yet suddenly it felt far away, like a fading dream. "Maybe I don't need a grand purpose," the little soul whispered. "Maybe just breathing, hearing, feeling is enough." He said nothing. In that moment, every sound, every light, every breath of the world blended into one. Each falling leaf, each touch of wind upon skin, all became music, and he finally understood. Life doesn't need a purpose. This very moment, the awareness that we are alive, is already the greatest meaning of all. When the gate of light opened once more, he was given a choice: to return or to let go. But this time, there was no fear. He looked at the little soul and smiled. "Go on. I think I've finally truly lived." Light engulfed everything. And then he opened his eyes. No grand stage, no audience, no spotlight. Only him, an old piano, and the morning sun spilling in. He placed his hands on the keys and closed his eyes. Music rose. This time, not for anyone to hear, not to prove, not to achieve. Each note was a breath, each sound a tear melting into silence. In that moment, he understood. Music isn't something you play. It's how the soul sings when it's free. He had died, but he had also been born again. Not in a new body, but in a new awareness. An awareness that life's meaning isn't found in great achievements, but in each small breath, each touch, each grateful glance. From that day on, he stopped searching for the meaning of life. He simply lived, and that was meaning enough. He no longer feared death, because for the first time, he truly knew what it meant to be alive. When you stop chasing a distant purpose and begin to feel life in every fleeting moment, that's when you become the music the universe has been waiting to hear. Sometimes we chase happiness far away, in fame, in dreams yet unfulfilled, forgetting that true joy hides within every breath, every glimmer, every quiet melody of life. Even in the darkest night, if we dare to switch on the light within, we'll see the path still waiting, patiently, for us to walk forward. If one morning you wake up and find everything around you in darkness, what will you do to turn your light back on? Share one small thing that makes you feel happy. Maybe a song, a cup of coffee, or a hand that once held yours when you thought you'd fall apart.